between us, right?
Okay, wonderful. I'm getting
I'll
a
explain
notification.
all that.
Okay, beautiful. I'm getting a notification now. And 1 second. And we are live. I
Yes,
want to
sir.
thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast, with a great guest today. We have student minister Ralph Muhammad of East St. Louis. I want to first give you the greetings of Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, sir, to have a conversation with us.
And I'm honored to be asked to do this.
Okay,
And
yes,
again,
sir.
we say praise be to Allah.
Allahu Akbar. My
And
first question for you.
I always like to thank the young people for having the energy to continue to do what we started out doing almost 40 years ago.
Praise
And
be to Allah.
that, it's a blessing to see children of those who have made the great sacrifices in our nation, that they're still on their post trying to make this a better nation, trying to make us better human beings. So I applaud you as well as my son. I know you know my son Kareem, so I applaud
Yes,
all you
sir.
young brothers who are trying to make it work in the best way you can under certain circumstances. They're not
Praise.
always
Yes, sir.
good.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. My first question is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Actually, it's been about 42 years ago now.
Mm.
Uh, I had heard a friend of mine named Brother Eddie Aziz Muhammad. He went back to Washington, but he became a state representative in Waukegan, Illinois, after all of this. But in the
Mm.
earlier days of our search for the truth, we he was a friend of my wife's actually. They were neighbors, and he used to bug me about. We always we thought we were black enough at one point, coming out the Black Power, the '60s, and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're going to a school called SIU Edwardsville in Edwardsville, Illinois, right outside East St. Louis, about 25 miles.
Mm.
So we were always into the Black Student Association and trying to do something black. And he had joined somewhat the Nation of Islam in the early days prior to '75. And I wasn't in at that particular point, but the nation fell and they were in the rebuilding stages. He asked me to come hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. At that time, my wife was my so-called, woman or whatever you want to call it, fiance.
Yes, sir.
And I said, okay. We went to see him over at SIU in Edwardsville, Illinois. It was a sparse crowd, and back in them days, I'm gonna be honest, I was high when I went to see him,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
I never heard him before. I've heard of Malcolm, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I knew about Muhammad Speaks newspaper, because thought I was conscious.
Yes, sir.
So I heard him speak. He spoke a couple of hours, and after he spoke, they had a meet and greet in one of the buildings on campus. The SIU, I actually went to SIU and got my degree there after I got out of the military. So as I'm standing by the door, Brother
Yes, sir.
Joshua, I'm sorry, and as he walked in the room, I saw this glow about him. I couldn't even see his face.
Mm. Mm.
And I had never saw a person like that before in my life. I said, who is this? I mean, I couldn't even see it because he was just glowing like the sun. And I
Yes, sir. Yes,
knew
sir.
whatever I had smoked was gone. So it wasn't a reefer, nothing like that,
Yes, sir.
being honest. And I said, this man must be somebody special, you know. So I asked the brother that brought us, I said, do y'all meet anywhere? What happens next after this, right? So they just rebuilding the nations. So they were having study group. Muhammad, in 1970, we went through '79, and at that time the nation was Minister was still down south, doing what he was doing, trying to rebuild the nation.
Mm.
And one day we were meeting in buildings. Sometimes we get locked out, sometimes we get put out because we had grew from houses to buildings.
Yes, sir.
And we had gotten to the point, the minister, it's time for us to get a building. So that's when we acquired the present building we have now in East St. Louis at 2216 State Street. And that same building we got through an auction for for a nominal price. And we've been in the building ever since. That became the first mosque dedicated in the rebuilding of the Nation of Islam in 19. In fact, the minister dedicated the building in 1981. Got the building in 1979.
This one's rededicated. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
We still maintain it. It was great history. Everybody was, Khalid was there. Brother Khalid, may Allah be pleased with him.
Yes, sir.
Akbar, who became the minister of the mosque. And then give you a little short history. I don't mean to be all over the place, but
No, take your time.
the reason we chose East St. Louis at that time, because Al Islam was in St. Louis and they had the mosque. It was originally the mosque under Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we didn't want to conflict with them. So we decided to come east of the river. And they had a black, of course, East St. Louis being black, they had a black mayor, call officer, whose family owns a funeral home business. And he helped us to acquire the building by putting some words into the certain politicians. So we were able to get the building through an auction. And we actually got that building, which is 11,000 square feet of space. We got that building for $14,000 back in the day. So that was a blessing. And it used to be a funeral home. So, but it's a beautiful building. Allah blessed us. We stayed there at the mosque until about 1993, because the issue was we have to go back to St. Louis eventually.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, we're waiting for. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
And St. Louis is okay. Josephine Bacon, all them. So the objective was to go back to St. Louis eventually. So finally, we went back in 1993, and we couldn't just leave the building just standing there. So that mosque now became a study group but it still carried the name Mosque 28B because we didn't want to, we just kept going. And finally I know I'm going ahead of you, but finally about 1990, after we opened up in St. Louis, about 96, the study group started growing on the east side. And I told brother, in fact, the minister at that particular time was Brother Dawud Muhammad. I said, it's time for us to go start having meetings in the daytime because we're growing pretty good. And that's when we began to compete with, with the West Side. We began to have day meetings. Eventually, we became a mosque in 1998 because we had met the quota. Remember now, we went from a mosque to a study group back to a mosque. And at this time, the West Side of the river, St. Louis, was the main mosque. We all were a part of that, but we didn't want to lose the building we already owned. So we just kept on going. I know I hope that's understandable.
Okay, yes, sir, absolutely. And thank you very much, Minister, for your history. Welcome, Sister Teresa.
That's when I became, because I was brought down. To give a quick history so you can understand where I'm coming from. When I first came in the nation on Akbar, I was his secretary. And we had so he became my mentor and he became my trainer. You asked me that question, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we learned a lot about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from him because we knew about Akbar's history. He was on the Malcolm in New York. They came in together. He was Brother Minister Farrakhan's assistant, like he is now. And then, of course, when Wolf Ding took it over, he came to St. Louis. And they put Minister Farrakhan under him. He became over Farrakhan. Well, once the nation St. Louis back from 1979 up until about 82 when we went to Chicago. So we were well trained by him. So everything we knew it from him. And that was a blessing because we didn't know anything about Islam at all. So he taught us well. So we're kind of like quotation marks _circle products of he is indirectly through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Thank you very much.
I was a secretary, captain, lieutenant, secretary again, assistant minister, and now minister of East St. Louis Mosque 28B.
Praise be to Allah. And thank you very much for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family.
Yes, sir.
Sister Santa Muhammad says, Assalamu alaikum, my first minister loves him and misses you. Brother Tony said, ASA. Sister Valerie says, ASA, it's always a pleasure to hear the humble beginnings of the believers across the nation. And walaikum salam, Brother Daniel. Walaikum salam, Sister Naima. Okay, they all send the greetings to you, sir. My next
Please
question
return
is,
and greet all looking for. I know they can help praise. Be so long.
yes, sir.
It's been a journey, though, brother. It's been a journey.
Yes, sir. How did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
That's always kind of funny, because your mother is, like Prophet Muhammad said, somebody asked Prophet one day, who's more important after you? So the Prophet said, mother.
Mm-mm.
So
Okay, one
when
second.
you make that kind of change, brother Joshua, then of course your mother's always wants to know why,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Or by that time Kareem was born, Aaliyah was born, and we had joined the nation, and she could understand why we had to change up, why I couldn't stay the way I was.
Yes, sir.
But it was a little different for her, a little frightening, a little anxiety. But after I made a demonstration, because as a black man and a young black man growing up in
Minister, your phone keeps muting. Thank you all for watching People's Podcast. We're just trying to get this sound together.
you always want to you're always searching for the truth in your own kind of way, particularly if you came up in the 60s.
Yes,
It
sir.
was Black Power, it was Malcolm, it was Kwame Ture, which was Stokely Carmichael in those days,
Yes, sir.
Rap Brown. It was the last poets. It was Angela Davis. It was Nikki Giovanni. It was Gwendolyn
Mm.
Brooks. It was Hakeem Abuti. So we kind of, uh, Leroy Jones, who later became Amiri Baraka, which his son is the mayor of Newark. Right? Those kind of personalities and personas affected us directly and indirectly.
Mm.
Because we were always in a struggle to maintain our blackness the best way that we could under the circumstances.
Yes, sir.
So having all those kind of things in front of us, you're searching for the truth. Because I became a Fahame. I was studying Zen Buddhism. Because we were, 60s was crazy because we was doing kind of everything, trying to figure it out, right?
Yes, sir.
Transcendental meditation, even Dianetics way back in the day, right? We came out of it, because the greatest thing we found, the truth we were looking for was Islam. And once I identified Islam and figured it out, that was for me. After that was nothing else, because after searching all those years for the truth, Islam was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, wonderful. My next question is, how was it like when you first met the Most Honorable Mr. Farrakhan?
My first encounter indirectly was when I saw him, like he was glowing like the sun. But your first encounter meeting him is like, he's like meeting a god.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The minister is so humble. I remember the first time I was a secretary. This is the insider. Because I had met him years ago. When he was living on Damon.
Mm.
And we had to go by Akbar. We used to have labor's meeting back, and that's when I first met Brother Ishmael. When he was 16, when he had an afro, believe it or not. He used to wear them army jackets like Michael Jackson, right? That's the first time I heard him speak. We was at a labor's meeting in Chicago. But the minister's always been as he is right now. Very humble, very caring, very motivated, very dedicated, right? He always treated you, was no big eyes with him and no little U's. I think that holds true to this day. Right. So it was like, like a kid meeting his superhero. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Absolutely, absolutely it does.
Right. So it's been like that ever since. I've never disrespected him even in my mind. Because what we knew, we didn't know until he told us what we didn't know. So he's this old church song by Gladys, old song by Gladys Knight. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, but he's the best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. My next question is, have you ever faced a moment of fear or been in this, being a minister or teaching the truth, or just in a mission, have you ever had to face death threats or anything that you had to overcome where it was about fear?
Well, to kind of to ponder that for a minute, Brother Joshua,
Yes, sir.
is to kind of look back at your life because minister talking about unraveling, and it's like the old spinster who spun her thread so tight, then suddenly she began to unravel it.
Yes, sir.
If you read the footnote to that 1692 called the B, it tells you that that's illustration of a person losing their faith, right? But to me, if you once I've become loyal to something or dedicated to something, even in all of my life, then that's where I was, really in the streets, going through that madness, or being loyal to your parents, whatever the case. I never really. Everybody, they say everybody experiences fear on some level, right? And we know that fear restricts the will. We know that.
Yes, sir.
But I've had anxiety about things, but I don't think I really had a fear, knowing that Allah was real and He came in the person of a man called Master Farrakhan Muhammad. When I figured that out, I said, as long as Allah got me and I'm with Him, and I don't ever leave Him, He will never leave me. Then I always feel protected. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. And praise be to Allah. Okay. My next question is, what has been your greatest joy in your tenure in the Nation of Islam?
Seeing my children grow up in the nation.
And
that's a blessing.
Yes, sir.
Kareem, and I don't know if you met Aaliyah yet, my daughter. Then to see my grandsons, which I have 3 in LA.
Yes, I saw him drill. I saw him drilling. I saw him calling.
So I said, I'm sitting there and said, well, that's my seeds. Right?
Yes,
so
sir.
That's probably the greatest joy, outside of just knowing that you're a Muslim and being able to embrace brother like your father, who was a great supreme captain, I'm not saying that because you're on the line, but he the first brother that said, that illustrates us how to say we love you to one another. He was supreme, and just besides my children and just the serenity or the peace.
Yes, sir.
Of accepting your own and being yourself. I mean, that's to me, that's the greatest joy. Knowing who God is, who you are, that is the greatest joy any human being could even ask for. That's beyond material things, baby things, all of that. Just knowing who you are. That's the greatest joy. And that's happiness. That is the pursuit of happiness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent. Walaikum salam, Brother Hakeem said that you married him and his wife nearly 24 years ago. Praise be to Allah.
I saw him at Savior's Day. And I came out of Chicago, and he married a sister of Syria, and he used to make bean pies in the mosque. He can make them pretty good. I have to give him credit for that. But I saw him at Savior's Day and introduced me to some of his children, and that was a blessing. I did marry him, and I'm very proud of him and his wife. They still together. It wasn't but because of me, it's because of Islam. So praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. Excellent. My next question is, how was it leading up to the Million Man March, and how did it impact you?
Well, when that final call came out, I'm gonna kind of go backwards.
Yes, sir.
When the final call came out after the Million Man March, and the headline was "A Glimpse of Heaven."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what it was like. And the way that the people galvanized, and the way we organized with the help of Allah, and the way the minister went around with the men's meetings, getting everybody mentally motivated.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
And just the joy of seeing people want to come together because they were hungry. And they were looking for a way out or a way in. And when the minister, like he said, I just read the other day, when it came out of his mouth, he said everything he does is about revelation. Wow. So he said when it came out of his mouth, he couldn't call it back. But it was the right call. And the mood of our communities was ripened to accept that what he brought into existence. But just to be able to sign people up who were selling T-shirts and sweatshirts and caps, and people were buying them. Community was energized. They was getting on them buses. They were getting on planes. It was just something that would never be repeated in my lifetime. I don't know about yours, not in my life. That's one. There's an old song out years ago called "One in a Million." That's one in a million. That would never happen unless Allah wills it to come back into existence.
Praise
Because it
be
was
to
the
Allah.
first time it ever happened. It didn't matter what your religion was. We ran across, the Christians, and it didn't even matter. Street brothers, you know, it was just a beautiful affair. And I'll never forget it. That's why we should
Awesome.
celebrate it every year with a lot of zeal and and happiness because that can never be repeated. In my
Praise be to
opinion,
Allah.
this is Ralph Muhammad talking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent. And thank you once again for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family to help
All praise is
establish
due to Allah.
Islam in North America. Um, my next question is, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Repeat that again, Brother Joshua.
What advice would you give to future fathers?
Future fathers, stay the course.
Mm.
Golf, I always say this golf is, I think I got it right. I always say 19 holes. Somebody say it was 18 holes. I'm not a golf player, but
Yes,
I
sir.
think is it 19 holes?
I'm not. I'm not.
Let's go for the sake. 19 is a good number anyway.
Yes, sir.
In order to finish the game, you gotta play 19 holes, right?
Yes, sir.
And as a father, our objective is to lead our family,
Yes, sir.
to be the leader. But you can't lead them unless you're God conscious, right?
Yes, sir.
A lot of us, oh man, I don't need. No, you gotta have it because if you don't have that, you don't even know where you're going,
Mm.
right? The greatest thing that happened to us, to the FOI who accepted Islam and made the Shahada, is that God is a part of our life and we can't separate. So we
Mm.
passed it on to our children in the womb of our wives. Right, the seed that we lay in our wives, it carries the seed of Allah in it, and it's God conscious now. This is God conscious seed in my perspective, because based on what we produced and what we can see the results of our production, you know, no matter how far our children would stray away, if the father is being consistent in his behavior, whether he has a good job, bad job, whether he makes $10 an hour, $5 an hour, $100 a day, whatever the case may be, if he stays the course and don't be overwhelmed by what he sees, but continue to do, because it takes a while for a seed to come up, push up out of the ground.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
so you got to work that thing, brother. To the best of your ability.
Yes, sir.
Always, and I know we get cracked for this a lot, brothers. We have to communicate, not only with our wives but with our children.
Yes, sir.
Sit down and have a conversation with your son. When Kareem one day he said, he probably get mad at me for saying that. He said, he's going to Clark, Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
And he came home for the summer, something like that. He said, Daddy, some of my friends going, I want to go to the club with them. I said, okay. I said, that's how you feel, bro. Everybody, I said, you gotta work that out. Because
Yes,
once
sir.
you're born a Muslim, and I understand how, life is tempting, because,
Yes, sir.
we don't do a lot of people do. You were raised a certain kind of way, but if you want to experience, like, don't do what you want to do. Do your thing.
Okay.
You're grown, man. You're a grown man. I laid the foundation for you. If you want to do, you go do your thing,
Yes,
right?
sir.
The next day he came back home and said, I don't think I'm gonna do that. He went back to school down in Atlanta. He recited, and he never looked back.
Praise be to Allah.
All
Praise be
praise
to
is
Allah.
due to Allah. So that's a father.
Mm.
You know, we lay the foundation, we work it. Not that we're not gonna make mistakes, not that we're gonna get crazy with it sometime. One thing I learned from the minister once, he said, you you can't see sometimes, as a FOI, we come home, we want to bark things, we want to tell everybody what to do,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you
Yes, sir.
can't do that. That's keep that, like they say, keep that at the office. Right.
Mm.
Home is for the heart, is home is your heaven. And your wife,
Yes, sir.
who helps us out, she is the cornerstone, if I may say it that way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She's not the leader, but she helps you become the leader.
Praise
So you
be
have
to
to
Allah.
respect that, listen to that. I mean, you ain't gonna battle because you're two different two different, two different chromosomes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You her, but you gotta listen. She's gotta listen to you, and through that process of development, you learn how to respect and listen to one another. You just grow and develop. But one thing Akbar used to tell us: never argue in front of your children. You got a
Mm,
problem?
mm,
You take a walk, take a break, say, I'm gonna take a walk, I'll be back. But never make that mistake,
mm.
because they watch everything that you do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So and we have to learn how to do things. Because sometimes, we get emotional. And but man, we have to maintain, always got to maintain that posture. Sometimes it hurts, but you got to hold it. Like old Kenny, the old Kenny Rogers, sometimes you got to hold him, sometimes you got
Yeah,
to
yes, sir.
you know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
old Southern boy, right? But I
Yes, sir.
think, and always, like I said earlier, always maintain your position, no matter what.
Yes, sir.
Because white man is always against us anyway, no matter what we do. You know, you may work today, may not work tomorrow, and always strive to do something for yourself, no matter what you do. Because
Mm.
eventually you may have to end up doing that. And always make sure, like your mom used to tell us, save something for a rainy day, because you never know what may transpire.
Yes, sir.
Learn how to put something away to take care of your family in case something happens to you, that your family's secure.
Praise be to
Yeah.
Allah. Yes,
So
sir. What do you do for fun, Brother Minister?
what I do for fun, listen to Miles Davis
Okay.
I'm a jazz man. My son bought me a little portable record player
Mm,
and a
mm.
couple jazz. But I do that, and I'm not like I'm 70 years old now.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. So I came in when I was 29. So I guess my fun has always been at the mosque. I think I spend more time at the mosque than anybody that I know. Ever since I came in, right? And I used to love to play racquetball. I don't do that as much as I used to, but uh, I enjoy watching sports. If I had anything that I like to do, if that's fun. I'm not a chess player like my son. I'm not I read, but I can read pretty quick. But that's more like when I study. So for pleasure, it has to be watching, just relaxing, listening to music, watching some sports. Right, my favorite sport is football.
Hey, are you a Rams fan?
By no means.
Well, who you like? Who you like?
I liked the Ram when they were here.
That's what I meant. I like the Greatest Show on Turf, like with Marshall Falk and Kurt Warner and all of them. Did you like them?
I'm so touchy, man, because I used to be a Philly fan till they got rid of my man. They locked him up. What's the brother name?
Vic.
Vic, Michael. That was my guy. Right.
Okay, 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 okay,
Vic is
okay,
big. I don't care what they say.
okay, okay, okay.
But I was a Philly fan. Then I wasn't with Cam Newton. Now they got rid of him.
Mm, mm.
I read a book once, Brother Joshua, when I was in school. It was a literature book, and I wasn't really good in English because I got bored with school. I was pretty smart. School was boring, but I did read this article.
Mm.
It was called "Clap for Our Boys," and this old lady used to always go to New York Yankees games, and no matter what, she was a Yankee fan by heart, but she would always clap for the black ball players.
Mm, mm,
So she would always clap for our boys. So I'm always supporting us.
mm, mm.
So if you got a black quarterback, I'll lean toward that team. But if you put me on the spot, so I got to pick a team. Right now, I like Tampa Bay. They got rid of him for this old man Brady. That's why
Those were to Brady.
I know as a New England fan, but I think Jamie Winston just needed the right coach, and I hope
Okay,
that they treat him right and put him on a team that he can actually play.
okay, okay.
So I know I'm skating the fence, right?
No, that's all good. Do you like
I guess I
Patrick
gotta go with
Mahomes?
Chicago. I gotta go
You
with Chicago.
gotta go do it. So you don't like Patrick Mahomes? You don't like Patrick Mahomes?
I like Mahomes. Kansas City was my favorite. I take that back. You're right. You just remind Kansas City is my favorite team. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yes,
right.
sir.
That's right. I took them after Rams and went to LA.
Okay,
But I know
yes.
Mahomes was gonna be that good when they had Alex Smith. So yeah,
Yes,
I'm a
sir.
Mahomes fan, right? So I
Okay,
like
yes.
Detroit's linebacker. The brother came out of Oakland,
Mm, mm.
Matt. So that's why I like
Oh
Detroit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That'd be my second team. KC first, Chicago third, and Chicago second, and maybe I don't know. maybe Baltimore would be my third because of
Okay,
Lamar Jackson. Right.
wonderful. Yes,
Those are
sir.
my top three.
Brother Minister Patrick, who lives in Atlanta, said that you were his first minister. So, thank you, Brother Patrick.
Yeah,
He
that's
said,
my guy.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lincoln, tell him Lincoln Tigers, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Lincoln.
sir.
He was pretty good. I think Patrick either played football or baseball. I can't remember right now.
No, he played basketball. I know he played basketball. He was good at basketball.
Basketball, that's right.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
good though. He was
yes,
good.
sir. Yeah,
He was
I
good.
seen
You
him when he
know,
came down here. I seen him. Why
he
he
came
was
out
already
that
here when I
family
came
got
down.
that name. What was his slave name? Was it Bucci?
I don't know.
That's,
I don't know.
I think it's Bucci. He know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
good. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, tell him, give him the
uh,
greeting from Walaikum Salam. Patrick's a good brother, you know, and I always like to see brothers from East. I call it East Boogie, you know. Wherever they go, they don't forget where they came from. You know, a lot of people put East St. Louis down because we're a small town with big minds, if I may say it that way. You know, and
yes, sir.
it used to be a mixed community. It used to be a dominantly white community. Now it's 99% black. You know,
Mm,
we have our issues. You know, we're not the richest city. We're really a poor city. Uh, but we have per capita, we may have the largest percentage of college graduates anywhere in the country.
praise be to Allah. Praise
All
be to Allah.
praise
That's wonderful.
to be a small town. You know,
Yes, sir.
we're a city of champions. Everybody know
Hey.
that. Anytime you have a high school that can win uh, state championship in track, state in basketball, and state in football in the same year, you know, you got something. And
Okay.
knowing you got people like, you know, like in fact, you got a homeboy down in Atlanta, Russell Gunn, that played the trumpet. He's from Lincoln. You know,
Mm.
like I said, Johnny Kersey, uh,
Okay. Okay.
Miles Davis, Don McHenry, you
Mm.
know. And so to be a small town, we represent well. So Patrick, may Allah continue to bless you and keep on doing what you're doing.
Wonderful. I just have a quick commercial break, Brother Minister, before I ask you two more questions. And thank you all
Yes,
for
sir.
watching. I
Yes, sir.
want to, speaking of St. Louis, there's a brother who has a clothing store called Supreme Men's Clothing in St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue, zip code 63136. The phone number is 314-528-5555. If you want to get fresh, make sure you have some nice clothes. He would keep you dripping. Our brother, thank you for always showing love. Make sure you support him. My sister Miriam has a coloring book and a children's book called ABC I Love Me. It is on Amazon. Make sure you all go out there and get that. My brother Rashad, he also sponsors the podcast. Street Premiere, he has a video production company where they have drones and they're shooting films and commercials. They're just doing a lot of great work. My second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra, is on Amazon. Thank you all very much. Last but not least, my father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, Abdul Sharif Muhammad.com. You can get the book. Thank you, Brother Minister. Anyone who else out there who has a business that would like me to promote it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram or YouTube, please cash at me at J Imagination. Brother David Adams, thank you for always showing love in Chicago. And the anonymous donor sponsor from the West Coast, I thank you as well. And back to you, Brother Minister. We're right back with you. What advice would you give to the future generations as of to how we could keep our 10 toes down, meaning strong in faith through the trials and tribulations that we're facing on a daily basis?
Well, I think the most important thing at present time, you know, and Dionysus has come to present time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have to remember, you know, as we get young in our years, right, and get more mellow, right,
Yes, sir.
we have to make way in the assembly for our youth, you know, because they have a lot to bring to the table,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Really, sometimes we forget that they're there, you know, because we get stuck in our ways, you know, we think that we're supposed to always be there, but you know, it's the young men for war, old men for counseling, right? I think I got that. But I like I used to share with my son. Sometimes he gets a little frustrated, you know, because. Y'all got gifts and talents. Like I'm talking to you right now on this podcast.
Yes, sir.
I think I could really sit down now, not to retire. I never retired until they put me in the ground.
Yes,
So they
sir.
have denied prayer service, you know. But I think we can move over a little bit, you know, and change the dynamics of the nation.
Yes, sir.
like they did with the webathon, how the young people just took it over, did an
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
outstanding job,
Yes, sir.
and I think we have the talent. I think they've listened well. I think their parents have taught them well. You know, uh, we don't want to get send them away to get some knowledge and then they come back and can't use it.
Mm, mm.
That's a problem we have. We got to expand the assembly.
Yes, sir.
We need to use what they have. You know, because y'all gifted, y'all have it. We prepared y'all for this. I don't know why we so uh, stubborn about getting out the way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we could counsel, we could advise if we take advice. Y'all can tell us some things that we don't know because you
Mm,
went out there and got it. And
mm.
I never want to be in the way of a new mindset Allah has prepared y'all for. So I think that is our strength in our youth. When I say youth, I mean anybody not up to me.
Yes,
You
sir.
have you
Yes,
get to
sir.
my
Yes,
age,
sir.
I'm still young, but you know, there's nothing wrong with consulting. There's nothing wrong with that. I ain't gotta be on front streets, we used to say in the street, but
Yes, sir.
if I
Yes, sir.
answered your question, give me a chance to expand your wings. You know, let us see what y'all got, cause y'all it may. I feel so strong. Y'all could take us to a place that we wouldn't even expect to go right now. There's a lion in the cage, walking 60 feet per second.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
with
sir.
modern
Yes, sir.
technology,
Yes, sir.
500 times now, 3,000 feet per second. So, you know, find y'all place, show us. You know, it's like it Savior's Day. I'm gonna say this, and I know people might fuss at me, but we could change that format because young people have more to say just in coming to a workshop. Let y'all
Mm,
run it. Set up the whole Savior's Day. Just
mm,
like you do the webinar. Just get out the way, smile, man. Just go and
mm,
let y'all do that, man.
mm.
If distribution is a problem, y'all probably got the solution to that already.
Yes, sir. Yes,
My
sir.
son told me once, Dad, they need to do this. I said, won't you tell them? Don't tell me, you tell them.
Mm,
They ain't gonna listen to me. I said, don't worry about that because, and I'm gonna say this. I know there's out there probably gonna say, slap. There's politics in everything. There's
mm.
politics in our nation.
Yes, sir.
If you don't see it, you better understand it,
Yes,
right?
sir.
It
Yes, sir.
doesn't have to be negative because politics is, like when I went to school and got my degree, right? And I don't brag on my degree. I got my degree is in urban planning, right?
Mm,
You got to major in
mm,
geography to get a degree in city planning.
mm.
My minor was in journalism and political science because urban planning and political science go together because you
Yes,
can't be
sir.
a
Yes, sir.
planner and not be political,
Yes, sir.
right? Then I got a master's degree in public administration and policy analysis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So politics is determines who gets what, when, why, and how. That's politics. So if you take those definitions and apply it to our nation, then you see what I'm talking about when I say the nation is political.
Yes, sir.
I ain't talking about the white man's politics. So it determines who gets this or who gets that or what city gets this or what city gets that, who pays for this, who doesn't pay for that. So, and maybe young folks don't like that, but change it.
Mm, mm.
You know, make it the way y'all want it to be, and we got to accept that. It's not about being rebellion. It's about making a better way. We got to understand the definition of that versus the definition, because there's positive and negative of everything, but positive and negative makes a thing move. If you understand the
Yes, sir.
nature
Yes, sir.
of yeah of what it is. Hope ain't
Praise.
nobody mad at me, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Brother, Sister Rabia says 28B. Yeah, she's from 28 St. Louis. My brother Joshua. Oh, thank you, Brother Charles O. Muhammad, for always showing love. Brother Hakeem, you gotta let it go that the Bears aren't winning the Super Bowl. Walaikum salam, Brother Jabbar. Thank you very much, Brother Jabbar. And Sister Valerie says, very well said. Let the youth lead the way with counsel from the elders. Praise be to Allah. Brother Christopher Muhammad says, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Give you greetings as well, Brother Minister. Thank you, Brother Christopher Muhammad, for always showing love as well. But Minister, my last question for you is, what would you like your legacy to be? Okay.
Say again.
So what would you
Say it
like your
again.
legacy? What would you like your legacy to be?
somebody asked me that question about a month or so ago, and I said, I think it's already there, you know. And I don't want to be seem arrogant, but if a legacy determines what you do after you're gone, then I don't want that,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
I think a legacy is, you know, culture is defined. Being a geographer, right,
Yes, sir.
is the way you do the things that you do. That's what culture is. So to me, legacy is what you do now that people remember,
Mm,
right? So
mm.
when you begin the process of rebuilding a nation, and you build 2 months in the process, and on 2 sides of the river,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and you
sir.
start with nothing. You know, back in the day, we didn't have nothing. We didn't have no
Yes, sir.
bean vines, no fish program.
Mm.
Our first final call came out May 1st, 1979. You know, I still got my copy because we walked the streets with that. It was 50 cents back in that day. Now it's cost us $2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? But I think the people that you have affected and influenced in 42 years or whatever, and people that you ran across throughout the nation, the people that you've seen come and go, and you still standing, that's your legacy.
Allahu Akbar.
And I stand on that. I'm still here, still active. Like I said, I won't quit until they had Janasa prayer. You know, they
Praise,
wrap my body and put me in the ground and say those 4 takbirs. You know, I look at brother like Rahman, I look at your father, I look at brother like who's sick now, may Allah be pleased with him, brother Hafiz.
yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir.
know, brothers that I know that've been around as long as I have just about. You know, some have fell to the wayside, but those who are still standing, and we've took a lot of hits, you know, but we still here because we love Islam more than we love ourselves.
Allahu Akbar.
To me, if I have to give a definition, that would be our legacy. We still stand after all these years.
Praise be to Allah.
All
And
praise be due to Allah.
yes, sir. And thank you very much, Brother Minister. My mother told me to make sure that I give extended greetings to your wife.
I
Uh, you
surely
know,
will.
Kareem was down here with us while he was in college, and I don't know your daughter, but we thank her for her sacrifice as well. But I do know of her sons through drill, and they do an amazing job. So they're soldiers. So I thank them for their sacrifice as well. Okay, and thank you all for watching the
Yeah, I
People's
will tell her
Podcast.
because she once told me, said, Daddy, Josh really got a podcast. He want to interview you, Daddy. You got to get on there. I said, okay, Aaliyah. Aaliyah's kind of like a daddy. She's a fighter, but I thank her so much for my wife for producing beautiful children who love Allah. And you can see it in her children and how they respond and respect her and respect how and love their nation. In the
Yes, sir.
years that are very critical when you 12, 13, 14, those are critical years for boys because,
Yes, sir.
we'll venture off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And but we'll stay the course. I will tell her that. And I'm glad to see that your mother's doing well,
Yes, sir.
and because we all got history, that we'll we'll always cherish. And the love is always going to be there for us who remain on post, not in a ceremonial post, but on a post of life.
Yes, sir.
Because Islam, like I said earlier, I was talking about that song, My Gladys Night. She said, you still there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
It's the best thing, bro. And so, to make a long story in reverse, and there's a such thing as legacy. I think
Man, we got a bad connection, Brother Minister, but I thank y'all for watching. And thank you, Brother Minister, for coming on the People's Podcast.
it
All
was
right.
my honor, brother. I guess we're going in and out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can see you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I thank you, brother, and for having the insight. Again, giving respect to our young people. And I mean young people. You're younger than me, so I have to call you young people, right?
Yes, sir.
Like having a son, grandsons, and all that kind of stuff. But keep up the good work. Keep the mindset of nation building in your head, because at the end of the day, is all we got.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
know, this is ours. It is what we make it to be,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and there's nothing else outside of this that can even compare. Right?
Praise his
Even
Lord.
when our frustrations, our down moments, our uncertainties, our fears, whatever you got, overcome it by seeking refuge in Allah, and you'll be okay.
Oh, Allahu
Allah is the
Akbar.
best knower.
Yes,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
bless you. Love you.
Love you
Uh,
more, sir.
take care of yourself, brother,
Yes, sir.
and remember your mother. Whatever happens, don't worry about that. He'll be all
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.